Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're dealing with another car in online racing in A-Class. So we're in the 1985 Nissan Safari Turbo. Not the first vehicle I'd think of in terms of racing cars, but yeah, with what I've done to it, I'm kind of convinced it's one of the dumbest but also best things to ever race on this game, quite frankly. So yeah, it's got 800 horsepower, which is a lot. No doubt about that, especially in a car that only has 3.4 handling. But yeah, we're partway through a championship in this lobby. It's the second of 3 races, so figured we'd try it out in the first couple of races, in the last couple of races that were in this championship, and then we'll do 3 more. So yeah, it's pretty potent in a straight line, no doubt about that, with all of that horsepower. Not the best handling car, but thanks to the all-wheel drive system and the additional handling upgrades I've given it, it's far from the worst either. And it absolutely flies out of the corners because of the all-wheel drive system and the huge amount of torque that it's got in as well, which I'll talk about once we've got through this race, because I'm looking at my notes right now. So yeah, but huge amounts of power. Hardly the worst handling car either, given the way that Ford is being driven. And yeah, absolutely flies on the straights. This shouldn't work. For some reason it does. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I initially just made a version of this in B class that I didn't much enjoy. It didn't have all that much power and handled even worse than it does now, but I fiddled around with it and thought, you know what, let's go into A class to see how dumb we can make it. And yeah, it is a dumb car, no doubt about that, but somehow works to some degree, and I have had some success online with it as well. I got a first place position in one race, and despite the fact that second place was a Honda NXXR GT, which is hardly the slowest of vehicles, and yeah, a couple of second place positions in the other 2 races, so surprisingly competitive. The fact that we're not last either is showing that as well. Very nearly getting towards a podium position. Bottom shaker is just a little bit quicker than we are. No, don't slow me down. Oh, we would have gone third as well. We hit that wall. But still, yeah, to go along with that 800 horsepower, it's got 1,432 pounds-feet of torque, which is the main reason this has so much get up and go out of the corners. And it's from a 5.6 litre turbo diesel V8 engine. Now it was originally a 5 litre engine, but with upgrades obviously it's had a larger cubic capacity, but no idea where that engine originally comes from. My head says that it's coming from a vehicle that is yet to be in the game via the Rally expansion, because I can't think of another vehicle that has a 5 litre V8 turbo diesel. It could well be a Toyota. I haven't looked at whether or not it's a Tacoma or the 4Runner has that kind of level of horsepower and torque, but it could well be from a Toyota, to be honest, given this is also a Japanese car. I just can't remember how big the engine in the Tacoma is, but yeah, if it's not in the Rally expansion, it will be from Toyota, because they're the only other ones that have diesels in this game, I believe, outside of Land Rover. But then again, the engine in the Land Rover Series 3 is hardly a V8 turbo diesel, so yeah, they're the only modern diesels I can think of that actually have any power. So yeah, but regardless, it's an engine that works extremely well in this car, I feel. Now again, like in previous videos where I've said that you could easily make a better build of the car I'm using, definitely could. Definitely give this slick tyres, bump the power down a fair bit, but it wouldn't be as hilariously fun to drive, especially when it comes to straight line speed, where you know you're up against far more, you know, typical race cars or vehicles you'd use for racing, and you're just flying past them in a near 40-year-old car that's an SUV that typically couldn't even do 100 mile an hour in stock form. So yeah, it is kind of fun in that regard. Especially since it likes to drift around a fair bit as well. So all-wheel drive system. I do get the feeling that people aren't taking it seriously while driving this though. Then again, can you blame them? Oh dear. Yeah, it doesn't have the best of brakes either. Yeah, I will be able to show you the stats once we're done with this race. You'd ever think of this as a Ferrari Turbo and a Mini mid-racing against one another. You know, I like underdog vehicles, so I don't think it should really be a surprise that I'm racing around in this. And it has kind of spurred me on to try out other SUVs that are a little bit on the older side to see what they can do in racing. So I have made a Lamborghini LM002, which probably isn't anywhere near as good as this in terms of performance, given even with massive amounts of weight being knocked out of it, it's still a £4,000 plus heavy car. What else did I try? Forgotten now, but yeah, definitely trying out more classic SUVs, which shouldn't be underestimated, to be honest. On a circuit like this, which is definitely more handling focused, it's not going to be the strongest. Don't know about that. Okay, I'm reining in the Mini. Come on, come to Papa. Certainly not going to be the kind of person that normally would drive an SUV on these games and ram people out of the way and everything. Because even though I do have quite a bit of weight at £3,461, it's not a huge amount. I just don't want to be that kind of person. So yeah, only a top 5 at that time, not a top 4, but still, considering what we were up against, I think we held ourselves really rather well, and the fact that we kept the Mini off as quickly as much as we did was also pretty good. So, although it seems to have beaten the Minis, I don't know why we only got 5th when we were... Oh yeah, it was 5th that we were fighting for. So yeah, we did beat the Mini. I don't know why they jumped back so far then. Maybe they missed the checkpoint. But regardless, 5th place is not too bad. Yeah, 4th place in the previous race. So yeah, let's move on to the next lobby and see just what this car is like in terms of its stats. So yeah, I'll see you when we get there. Right, so we're in the new lobby, so here you can see the stats. The speed and acceleration are all rather excellent. The braking, even though it is a 6, there are a few elements of that that hold it back, is in the fact that the tyres aren't the best, and obviously you're going to be more gunning it than you would probably usually with a vehicle like this. So yeah, the launch for some reason is only a 4. Not sure why, given it's an all-wheel drive car, but yeah, excellent car this. In my view, just because I enjoy driving these kind of underdog vehicles. But yeah, it's got 692 horsepower more than it had originally, just to tell you how much it's gone up in terms of upgrades. And with these classic off-roaders, you do have to be aware that you typically can't upgrade the suspension in terms of lowering it. You can give it off-road suspension, which in this case did actually increase the handling, and it did with the Lamborghini LM002 as well. But yeah, you can't really lower it just by the upgrades. You probably could in terms of tuning it, but I kept it with its ride height just to make it that little bit more bonkers. And we're on the same circuit again, so yeah, probably won't do as well again, but let's see what we can do regardless. against another fellow 80s car instead of the Lamborghini Countach, but you can't have two more different vehicles from that decade, quite frankly. It's understeer, as you'd probably expect given it's got a larger engine up front. And there goes the Lamborghini. Eat diesel power, BMW. And then we've got then BMW. Can we keep up? Certainly can on the straights. I think I put that guy off slightly because he was probably amazed that this car was actually keeping up with him in the straight line. Love the fact that when you still slam on the brakes with this, it nosedives because of the suspension. There's a little ground there. Yeah, it's really the understeer that is the main weakness with this. Because at times it's not really that evident, and yet other times it will just suddenly have this massive amount of weight feeling up front. Just a little slide round there. Porsche that's in fourth, which is far from a bad car, although I'm not sure how good deal or is how good it is in A class, given that is also a D class car originally, like this was. So unless you can give it hilarious levels of power or the handling is excellent, then I'm not sure what advantage it would be to driving that. But we've technically got a podium. In some regard. But I feel we held up pretty well in that first lap. It's only after that we kind of lost it a little bit, but that's just what the nature of pushing the car as hard as you have to. And we didn't get the slowest lap time either. And not a million miles off the BMW as far as I'm concerned. So yeah. Let's move into the second race and hopefully have a more populous lobby and a bit more luck with whatever track we're going to be on. No idea where the BMW's gone, it seems to have dipped out, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe it got bored of trying to get past me every first lap, given, yeah, not the smallest of vehicles, definitely, and not the easiest to punt out the way either, as the BMW seem to have tried a couple of times, but with my heavy duty bumpers at the front and the with my heavy duty bumpers at the front and the rear, and no pushover, especially with the weight that we've got going behind this. So yeah, can now do 0 to 60 in 3.536 seconds and 0 to 106.15 seconds. And because we couldn't change the gearbox due to a limited amount of PI, we only have a top speed of 181, which isn't all that much considering obviously it's got 800 horsepower, but there's been very few races I've come across where we get up to that kind of speed. And even then, because of how quickly we actually get up to that speed, it's very rare that we start being able to catch up on or even overtaken when going that kind of speed. So yeah, didn't feel it was worth sacrificing in other areas for an extra 10-20 mile an hour at the top end, so that's why I didn't change the gearbox. It's still a 5-speed, but a 6 or 7-speed would have definitely probably made it a little bit better in terms of its acceleration, and obviously better at the top end, but that would have meant sacrificing a bit more on the handling or a bit more on the power, and 800 horsepower is too much of a nice round number for me to not go in for. So yeah, let's see what we do on this second race. We're on another circuit, and this car's definitely weaker on circuits, I find. And it's just the three of us. So let's see if we can keep it with the Audi and beat the Porsche again. I think the last race is a point to point, which I feel this vehicle does better on. There are plenty of fast corners on this circuit, so it might well do better than I imagined. How brave we are with the brakes and the like. Stay there again. To be fair, the fact that we are quicker than that Porsche, which should technically have better handling and better braking and more consistent lap times and the like, is impressive enough given what this is. Although obviously that Porsche is even older than we are, but I really very much doubt there's anything that's technological at least still existing in this vehicle, even with all the upgrades that they've given it, is any better than what's in that Porsche. At the end of the day, this is a car with leaf springs. They are hardly the most technologically advanced form of suspension. Useful and, cheap and whatever else that you can positively say about them, but not technologically advanced. Although one advantage of this, you can plough through road furniture with no issues whatsoever. Again, did reasonably well in the first lap, but after that, it's because of how inconsistent the car is in terms of its handling, with the understeer becoming apparent quite quickly at times. It's not able to quite keep up the pace of the Audi there. But then again, that is a far more modern car. Its all-wheel drive system is far more advanced, and even though it will have less power than us, it's also going to be able to deliver that power a lot better than, say, a diesel engine, which is pretty much at the top of the rev limiter a lot of the time. So and these aren't excuses, this is just a fact. It's a fact of life, and when it comes to diesel engines, is a lot of the power is at the top, and it's not there for a very long time either, so it comes in great big lumpfuls. So but I would have felt bad or annoyed to have put in another kind of engine in this, especially with the fact that it's got diesel on the back and it's turbocharged as well. So yeah, wanted it to keep it consistent. So yeah, it's not an overall great car, it's not massively competitive, but it is fun to drive, and it is fun to think of what other people are probably thinking given what the hell I'm driving in the first place. So yeah, it's such a shame that we've not had more popular lobbies. I think this revels in the chaos of a packed lobby, quite frankly, which we are in for this one, and it is a point-to-point. So let's see if we can beat some more suitable vehicles like a Audi S1 or a Peugeot 207S or a Nissan GTR from 2002. Can we at least beat the fellow Nissan? Now we are on a big long straight, as you can see, pretty much for the first part, so we will have an advantage in that regard. But can the Safari beat the GTR? Let's find out. A lot of us are all-wheel drive though in this lobby. To be honest, I did not see the Porsche was there. Such a much bigger car than the Porsche. I didn't see that it was underneath our bonnet. Oh dear, oh for God's sake, Audi. Why do people feel the need to be like that? He knows he's going to beat me anyway because he's got a better handling car, like he has for the last two races, so why did he have to ruin my race? Laggy Audi S1. Don't know the meaning of brakes by the looks of things. Let's at least try and get a third place. So understeer again. Just kills all of the momentum going into a corner. Settle for fourth. I probably would have beaten the Porsche had we not been rammed into the corner by the Audi, but whether or not we'd have been able to match the Nissan is another whole story, quite frankly, because obviously that's a sports car and we're not. But I think we would have given it a good run for its money, but unfortunately we couldn't find out because the Audi decided to ram us into a building. So yeah, there we go. That's life, I guess, with this with these kind of lobbies. But yeah, I have no idea why, because he would have won on points regardless, even if I'd have come first, so there was literally no reason for him to do that, so screw you, Dax Joe. But regardless, hope you've enjoyed this episode, this video in general, and yeah, I do highly recommend trying out these kind of off-road vehicles, because they are, in their own way, a fun vehicle to drive. You can offer up some enjoyable racing, but yeah, obviously they're going to have their flaws though, just like every other kind of car does. But yeah, I do feel like they're enjoyable to drive, and being the underdog, when you do get a victory or even get a podium position, it can be a bit more satisfying than, you know, being in a surefire winner. But yeah, nonetheless though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.